So I'm here at the annual mediation conference, and I'm sitting with Darryll Bauchert, who besides being a mediator and also doing financial planning work, he also has the designation of being a certified divorce financial analyst. And so I thought we could take a few moments and Darryll could explain for my clients and other people who are listening to this podcast, what are the criteria to become a certified divorce financial analyst, and how does that type of role benefit a client in a divorce or even maybe post-divorce case. So, Darryll, thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
And why don't you go ahead and start off with just telling us what you needed to do in order to get that designation.
The Institute for Divorce Financial Analysts has set up some very specific criteria as to what you need to have prior to even asking for acceptance, and then a specific educational and testing program that everybody goes through before they actually receive the designation. And then, of course, after you receive the designation, like a lot of other designations, there's continuing education requirements and that sort of thing to make sure that you keep current in that certification.
How long is the original process to be able to achieve the designation?
It varies from time to time. I can't quote to you exactly what length of experience you have to get there. You can go to the Institute's website, and there's a whole section on that website about the role of the certified divorce financial analyst, the criteria, the credentials they must have prior to even taking the course that you have to take, and then sitting for the certification exam.
And so why don't you give us an idea of what exactly the analyst would do in a divorce setting?
It's varied. It's a broad scope type certification in that we do touch on tax aspects. We touch on different areas of assets in a divorce, retirement, cash flow, cash planning, liabilities, and how liabilities impact on those different plans. We talk about not only how the division of assets and the division of income may impact somebody in the short term, but also look at it on a much longer term basis. And I think that's where a lot of other people don't look at it as, what is this division or what is this agreement going to cause, not necessarily today, but what positive or negative impact might it have for somebody 20 years out.
And do you do that type of consulting role with the clients individually, or can you do it with both of them together?
It depends. You can be hired as a neutral and put together a plan based on the criteria that a couple and their attorneys might present in a more cooperative type basis and say, this is what we think that the variables are, here's the rates of return and the different assumptions that we're going to make, because everything's based on assumptions, and all the criteria that we have, and come up with what we think looks like a good plan for them to follow throughout the dissolution process to the end. We can also work with an individual or with that individual and their attorney to develop what is seemingly the best strategy for them, and of course that can sometimes work to combat some of the arguments that are coming from the other side.
And when you work with a client individually, is the ultimate role for you to go to court and testify on their behalf, or is it to play a role trying to help reach a settlement?
Well, I put on my mediator hat more than I do my aggressive hat, but so I like to settle cases, and that's my goal, is to help settle a case, because it's my opinion, along with people like you, that the settling of a case is much more beneficial than actually litigating it. So I much would prefer to help be in the settlement process, but if we go to litigation, I'm there to be your expert.
And what's kind of the general cost that somebody should expect to be able to pay for that service?
It's all over the board. Mine's an hourly rate, and that hourly rate is stable. I work on a retainer basis. I try to make a good cost-benefit analysis in the beginning to establish a reasonable retainer. And really my goal, and this goes back to the settlement versus litigation standpoint, is to try to lessen the cost, not increase it. So if we can use that money as wisely as possible, then hopefully everybody will be better off for it from the standpoint of less fees for me, less fees for the attorney, and allow people to reach a better settlement that they can live with. That's could be compromised, but it's better for them.
So a positive result would be to spend a little bit of the money up front to get your expertise to maximize the finances that they have after the divorce is final.
Yeah, it's analogous to estate planning. If somebody does some estate planning up front and puts a revocable, if they need these documents, a revocable trust and will and that sort of thing, and pay an attorney to write those documents for maybe $1,000 to $1,500, that's better than paying 3 to 8 to 10% of their estate when they had died to have it probated. So you're going to pay somebody now or pay somebody later. It just depends on how much you want to expend and give to the people that may benefit by that from some fashion.
Right. Well, thanks very much. Great information on what a divorce financial analyst does, and very helpful. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.